I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. It's your boy Hans here with my two best friends, my compadre amigos, Evan Butler Sands. How you doing, Ev?
I'm doing great. Run that music back.
Yes, it gets the blood flowing. It gets you, it's like when you're getting ready to come in the game and the game's about to start, your theme music. I get it. Also, here's the boy, the guy, the man himself. What it do, Lou? How you feeling, fam?
What's going on? Like you said, man. Theme song gets you right, gets you going. What's it called? It's provocative. Gets you going.
Yes.
Get it.
As always, we have the Pod Mamba in the back, making sure that we continue to be the world's #1 basketball podcast. So shout out to the Pod Mamba. Yes, sir. Let's get started. Let's jump right into it, guys. We're going out to the West Coast. West Side, baby. We're not going to continue off of what happened last week. Kendrick's album is still pumping, but this is basketball now. We're serious, okay? We're serious. We're back to business, all right? So, West Coast basketball, California specifically. We're trying to figure out which team is best in the state. Because if we're honest, in this beginning of this podcast, we have had a merry-go-round, a revolving door of California teams kind of going in and out.
That we have.
Listen, man, it's really been an assortment. And it goes to also how spoiled that state is that they have 17 teams in the NBA. But anyway, I digress. This guy.
We better have an in-season tournament just in Cali.
Just in Cali. They could have their own conference. For real, though. Are we lying? They low-key could.
It definitely should be their own division, just the California division.
Right? Facts. Yeah. I mean, that's, that California living, boy, I tell you. But anywho, so let's break it down real quick, guys. So we have the Golden State Warriors. We have let me have the standings ready for you as well, too. So as we're currently recording, I apologize. I have to make that discussion. As we're currently recording right now, we have the top seeded California team as being the Golden State Warriors, and they're seated at 4, followed by the Lakers 6, but that may change because they're getting handed to them by the Timberwolves right now. Sorry, I had to say it, brother. I had to say it. Followed by the LA Clippers, and then we have Sacramento just falling down to the 12th spot. All right, guys. So I'll start out with you, Ev. This merry-go-round that you're seeing, can you somehow, some way pick a team that you feel is heads and shoulders above the rest? California speaking. Is there a team that you feel like, regardless of the ups and downs, that they're the standout best from the West?
So when you look at the teams right now, I have to say that I would have thought the Lakers would be the best team in California right now. But it's coming down to which teams have established their identity the quickest. And so for me, Golden State is the team. Yes, not just because they have the best record. They're the team that has established themselves, their identity as who they want to be as a team most quickly. We talked about it last week, but the tenets that they've hit on continue to pull back from their championship days, right? Defense is the priority. They're fifth in defensive rating. Their offense, from the standpoint of their top 10 in both 3-point attempt rate and percentage. Defense, from the standpoint that they're number one in 3-point percentage allowed. So what that means is that they're establishing on both ends of the court how they want to play. They're taking away the most profitable shot in the game, where 3-point percentages are going through the roof, right? And also, they're still third in assists, still fifth in pace, so still very unselfish with the ball. It allows them to play with that deep bench that we talked about last week, and allows more players to get involved as they establish their identity. So from a regular season standpoint, when you're doing it on the defensive end and you're doing a proven identity on the offensive end, even though I don't think they have the top end talent that a team like the Lakers has, from a regular season standpoint, they're putting together an identity and a structure that will allow them to carry through. So I got my thoughts on a couple teams, which I'll pick on me for talking about more than one. So I'll leave it at just Golden State right now.
So let me push back on you real quick, though, on that. I understand logically what you're talking about in Golden State, because they do have a lot of older or veteran pieces that have been there. So they do, in fact, have an identity. They have the same coach, the same staff, essentially, a couple different pieces in the lineup. But the remnants, the core of the championship team just in 2022 are still there. But wouldn't you say the Lakers had their identity early on too, from what we were seeing, and how they were AD centric and they were getting up and down the floor quicker? Wouldn't, I guess, why didn't you have them as establishing their identity, especially since they got off a little quicker than the Golden State Warriors did, instead of Golden State? I guess what made you not give that? Is it because they're falling a little bit and you're questioning the coaching of JJ, or has their identity changed? Are they bipolar? Is that what you're saying? You're saying the Lakers are bipolar?
I may be saying that. So my
Oh,
challenge
okay.
with the my challenge with the Lakers is absolutely
I'm pretty sure
absolutely
that was a leading question.
It very much was a leading question. I should have gone
right.
to law school. But go ahead, man.
Well, them leaning into AD at the beginning of the year and maintaining consistency with that was definitely a welcome sight. One that, some would say was obvious that they needed to do going forward as a team. And for AD to both remain healthy and play at the level that he's been playing this year has been excellent. The challenge with the Lakers is, one, their defense still continues to get worse each year. They're 25th in defensive rating right now, right? They're on the offensive side, they're 21st in 3-point attempt rate. So what that means is that they still have not found, outside of AD, that right mix to put around LeBron to ensure that either the identity that plays to the strength of both of their top two players is there. I feel like they're still looking for that. They inserted Dalton Connect into the starting lineup after going through, the Cam Reddish fun again, for this season, something that I didn't think that we would see. So clearly they want to emphasize an increase in spreading the floor in their 3-point shooting and opening the floor for both LeBron and AD. They just haven't quite found it yet. And they don't have a bench. We don't talk about it a lot, but past D'Angelo Russell, their bench is horrible. And those are glaring weaknesses that I think they have to fix if they're going to be at the level that I thought that they would get to in this season.
Okay, got you. Yeah, there's something else. I'll leave it there. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get kicked off the pod. You know what I'm saying? I'll watch my mouth. I don't want to get kicked off the show. You know what I'm saying? Here we go.
Here we go.
Once JJ realizes that D'Angelo Russell needs to be in the starting lineup, running the offense, and AR is not a true point guard and comes off the bench, the Lakers will finally be good again.
Well, my challenge with what you just said is that LeBron is your point guard. And
Not anymore. He shouldn't
Evan,
be.
did you not see the breaking news? Breaking news is
Do you
LeBron
want
is
me to-
washed
Do you want me to tell you how many turnovers he's
Per
had
sources.
this season?
per sources.
I get you. But as long as LeBron James is on the court, LeBron James is your point guard. And so why D'Angelo has looked better in the second unit is because he gets that opportunity to play point guard some instead of just catch and shoot with LeBron. Now I need to check the stats on this. You could tell me, Christian, better, but D'Angelo, from what I've seen this year, has looked horrible simply catching and shooting at threes.
Because he's being used incorrectly
Exactly.
in this offense.
And as long as he's on the court with LeBron, especially an aging LeBron that is slowing down the pace of the team and is more of a half set player, that's what you're going to get. And that's why they went to the Connect Rule, and that's why they went to Reeves, who isn't shooting threes as well. He's not at 35% from a high 39%.
But that's not the point I'm trying to make. D'Angelo can play the half court game. It's just that he needs the ball in his hands to run that offense, because he has shown for the past 2 years now that when he runs the offense of the Lakers, they look better. AD looks better. AD gets the ball more when D'Lo has the ball in his hands. I'm tired of seeing LeBron dribble out a fucking clock and jacking up threes and clanking that shit. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of seeing it. He is
You
not
like to pause and shoot.
It's not even a pause and shoot anymore. It's just a dribble, step back three from the top.
Listen, man, y'all need to go ahead and talk to Washington and just get Jordan Poole.
All right,
And
all right. I'm disconnecting your mic. What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, speaking of the Wizards, y'all, we're one of the teams rumored listed to be monitoring the Kyle Kuzma situation. I don't know what that does for your team.
Y'all want that old thing back?
I know,
did
right?
see
The
that.
front and the back.
Listen, I was a big proponent of Kuzma not leaving the Lakers the first time. So, I mean, I'm not in that camp. So I would love Kuzma to come back. But I feel like the Wizards is starting to become the Lakers like AAA team where they just like call up whoever they fucking want.
Oh man,
Well, I think it's just
They're
getting
your G
creepy.
League affiliate, the
I
Wizards,
know, right?
bro.
Come on, son.
It's like, oh, we need to change things
They're
up. Let's just go back to the
professionals, too.
Wizards. Let's go back to the old well
Hey, yo.
and go get.
Listen,
go get
I'm
You're
sorry.
a professional team. Stop
You
it.
see the entitlement we talk about here? The Cali entitlement right now? You made a whole professional team your G League affiliate.
Look at all the deals we've done with Washington the last 3 years.
That doesn't
It's
mean
because you
that-
traded
Nice.
all of your players to them. Let's
Yo, Washington
let's
got
talk
you
about
far. No,
that.
stop it.
It's your GM who traded away all the key pieces.
So-
It's
so
getting
are they
creepy
in
the way
cahoots?
y'all are monitoring all of your older players to see if you all could get them back. You did it with Caruso. You did it with
Yep.
KCP. You're doing it with Kuzma now. I mean, this is it's not a good
We
good
made
look.
KCP. What are you talking about? He was dying over there in Detroit. We had to go and save his ass.
Oh my
He
goodness.
became an NBA champion, and then and then LeBron was like, I don't want to have the ball in my hands anymore. I want a true point guard on my team. So what does Rob do? He goes and gets Russell Westbrook.
This is my fault, y'all. Actually, this is your fault, Hans. I sprinkled the little Lakers, and you brought them back in for a main
I
course.
take blame. Let's get
You
back
do.
on track. Let's get back on track.
All right, I'll see you guys. Love you. I'm just a chill guy, you know.
Get out of here,
I
Bob
knew he was
Mama.
gonna say I'm just a chill guy. I knew it was coming.
All right, back on track. Lou, we're still in the Cali era here of this show. Out of the teams that we listed, which team has surprised you the most, good or bad? Out of the Cali bunch that we listed, which team has surprised you the most, good or bad?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, because I'm about to jump right back into this Laker well. The reason currently why they surprised me, well, I'm gonna answer it in twofold in true fashion of our dear brother. So Who surprised me the most? Definitely the Golden State Warriors. You know, and I know early on in the show in the season, I was not a believer, just mainly because I wanted to see what their record would show after playing some more trying teams, and seeing them to still have the success that they have. Yeah, I didn't expect them to be a top on the top half of the table. But to something that is like also a little bit concerning though is, yeah, though they are close at the top of the table, but looking at their division, right? They're 0-3 in the division, right? As opposed to the Lakers being 2-2. They're both 9-5. So within the conference. So I think, yeah, though we see the current success of Golden State, and it may not necessarily have translated exactly in the same way that we see with the Lakers, I think there's a little bit more to the story there. So I'm interested to see how as we get closer to the close of the first half of the season, where both of these teams shake out, especially when it comes down to within the Western Conference. We know it's very competitive there. Yeah, I think that the records, their overall records, don't tell the full story. So just as a Western Conference, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of a battle here between the Lakers and the Warriors. They might be a little bit closer in terms of how they're both playing up to this point in the season thus far. So definitely want to keep an eye out on that for now.
Way to give a twofold answer like Evan did, man. He's rubbing off on you, man.
I train you. I teach you guys well. Show you the way.
We're learning, master. We're learning. No, I definitely get it. I'll answer this question as well too. The team that surprised me is Sacramento. I thought with the addition of DeMar DeRozan that this was it. They're about to take off, right? They had the puzzle. Well, I mean, you watch a lot more DeMar DeRozan in the past couple of years than I have, as he was a Bull. But I thought this was it. This was the piece that was going to get them over that hump, right, of an early exit. That was really going to start to surge. But I'm not seeing it. I'm not understanding their struggles, and I don't know. And maybe Ev, maybe Lou, you guys can enlighten me and help me figure out what's going on with Sacramento. But on paper, similar. Okay, I'll say this for those who've been listening: they are the Charlotte Hornets of the West. Like Ev said, on paper, they should be doing a lot better than what they are. Think about it. De'Aaron Fox is dropping career highs. He's hitting records for his points, and they're not amounting to anything. Is he another bag of chips like Devin Booker? Like Lou? Like what is? I don't know. I don't get it. Sabonis, he's a bona fide player, but is he enough? Is he enough? I really don't understand what's going on with Sacramento, and I think that Sacramento area deserves better. And if this team continues to sour, they need to do something with either Fox or Sabonis. I don't think that's gonna work, man.
You don't think it's coaching at all? You think it's just strictly?
They've cycled through a couple coaches though.
Yeah, I think
so. How many more cycles? They're on their second. This is second, right? So how many more do they need to cycle through?
Fox may be on 4 or 5 coaches, but I think so.
Yeah, but this duo's only on 2, right?
Yeah. So Mike Brown, I think he brought over his version of what he learned from Golden State, and so he's put a unique system in place for this team, and I think for who he is, he's a fine coach. The challenges that I see with Sacramento, and I definitely agree with you as a surprise standpoint, from a surprise of how poorly they're doing. The challenge with them, one, Malik Monk was hurt for 7 games.
Yeah, he just came back.
Yeah, so as you look at the names on their bench, but really he's 6th man of the year caliber. He's like their 5th starter plus. So when he's out, the dynamic of the team changes. Keegan Murray, we've been waiting for him to take that next step in his leap, right?
Mm-hmm.
12. He's giving them 12 points a game, like 28% from three right now. They thought he was going to take on Harrison Barnes' role plus more, and they have not got that from him. And we see Harrison Barnes doing well in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Would never thought I saw him get a Player of the Week award this season, right? But so
Chris Paul effect, baby.
hey,
Yo,
so
come on.
they're missing that. The biggest thing to me, though, with the Kings is that we assumed, hey, you add offense on top of offense, and that equals more offense, and they're going to be supercharged. And yeah, we know they don't play great defense, but nobody's going to be able to stop them. It's one of the beautiful intricacies of basketball is that there's only so much ball to go around, right? And there's only so much you can charge up in offense. And when you were the man somewhere else and then you coming into a new situation, it takes time for everybody to gel. Sabonis is having a solid year. Don't get me wrong. DeRozan
20 and 12.
22 a game. Yeah, don't get me wrong. De'Aaron 27, career high in points, right? Individually, the numbers look fine. But when you look at the symmetry of it, they're in a lot of close games and they're unable to pull those close games out because they haven't gotten their offense collectively to the next
Mm-hmm.
level yet to overcome, one, the defense that they're not going to give you, and two, those close scenarios when, yeah, everybody's great at offense, but we have to know what we're doing in these clutch moments. So that's what Sacramento's struggling from my vantage point.
Yeah, and then your point is exactly where I was going to go with the adding of DeRozan. We saw the same thing with the Bulls until Levine went down. That coming down to that last moment, who's going to be our clutch player? And then, I mean, that translated into what DeRozan won last year in terms of the award of being clutch player of the year. Uh, until that is definitively defined on the team, you're going to have some struggles. Is it Fox? Is it DeRozan? Is it Sabonis? So that dynamic needs to be ironed out before you see some continued success on their end. So I'm expecting them to be able to iron out those kinks, hopefully before the end of the season is out.
I just didn't anticipate DeMar DeRozan being that complex of a piece to cause that much growing pain for them, to where they couldn't lasso together a couple more wins than what they have right now. Because as much as you say there's not enough ball to go around, at the end of the day, the game's about putting the ball in the hoop. So I get what you're saying, though. I definitely do understand. I'm just still a little, I guess, shocked. I expect them to be a lot better. Granted, we're what, 20 something games or so. So we're still early, but nonetheless, I'm shocked about them. I'm shocked about them. And I knew the Pop Mom was gonna do this. I'm gonna still throw it in there anyway. The Clippers.
You know what? We did this.
Hey, yeah.
We did this totally
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, the Clippers right now. Don't look at the records. They're the best team in LA. Next topic.
When I hit the buzzer, it means move on.
Overtime.
Oh
man.
man,
That bunch, bro.
Listen, man. I'm gonna say this. Shout out to Teron Lue, man. That guy can coach. That guy can coach.
Enough said.
That's it. That's where we're gonna leave it with the Clippers because we don't want to get kicked off our own show. That's about it. All right, y'all. We're gonna move on to the next segment, man. Let's talk about them dogs. And not those Georgia Bulldogs. Did you guys watch that overtime game? We're switching to college football. I know we do this. And this is why we're the #1 NBA show, because we're versatile here, okay? We're versatile. Did y'all watch that game? Did y'all watch that game?
Wow.
Georgia versus
Wow.
Georgia Tech? Did you watch it?
I watched the end of it. After
Which end? It was like 7-8 overtime.
It was 8 overtime, so you had plenty of time.
So here's funny. Well, not a funny story, but shout out to my big bro Mike Dorsey, Georgia Tech alum. He told me at Thanksgiving that Georgia Tech was going to beat Georgia, and I was like,
Oh,
We'll see. We'll see. So the game's on. Not paying any attention to it. My wife and I catching up on some shows. We haven't caught up on shows in a long, long time. So I look at my phone at 10:45, and I see somebody text. The dogs are done. There was 10:45. We finished watching shows at 11:45. I go into the room. I catch overtime number 7. So I'm like, clearly they weren't done. I missed a lot. So I caught overtime in the 8th overtime. And frankly, that's all I needed to see. But that was my experience.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening to the new podcast 11 on 11 via can't stand y'all. Why are we talking about college football? We should be talking about the NBA, and the Wolves are howling.
I was
My
talking
bad.
about my wife and I watching quality shows.
We're diverse here, Christian. Don't try to kill our vibes. All right, y'all. Let's get back to it though. But yeah, man, that was an interesting game. Anywho, Minnesota Timberwolves. They do arguably the biggest trade one would say thus far. They have had the biggest transaction with Ev's New York Knicks. They acquire White Dante. They acquire Julius himself, Randall. And people were saying, hey, think Minnesota's really this might push the needle for them. Well, it's pushing something. It's pushing some buttons. It's not pushing the needle. It's pushing some buttons. The Timberwolves right now, of course, they're handing it to the Lakers, but that's neither here nor there. But they are
Randall revenge game.
Brother, this guy stinks.
Like a Randall revenge game happening.
Yeah, right. They're sub 500, 9-10. They'll probably be 10-10 while we're done recording because it is what it is with the Lakers. But what's going on, man? Do they miss the big meow? Are they missing the big purr himself? Or what's going on in the land of the Wolves? I'll start with you, Lou. What are you seeing? What are you hearing in the land of the Twin Cities?
Yeah, I mean it's looking real spooky for them right now, right? They're look, just like you, I'm not here to big up anything that has to do with them and Cat, and I'm I would very much so not want to give Cat any props, but dare I say maybe they actually do miss him, right? In terms of their ranking, they've dropped ranking significantly in terms of both rebound and blocks as opposed to last year, right? So now them being 26 in rebounds and 24th in blocks, and last year ranking about eight points higher in both categories. So does that mean that not having Cat, at least from a defensive perspective, right? Even though you have Rudy Gobert, right? Does Cat do you now miss Cat from a defensive and a rebounding position? Is Ant really ready to step up yet? That's now then another question you have to ask. And then also, integrating Julius Randle into the lineup. Is it just some growing pains that we're seeing right now, and they're still working out the kinks? Either way, I think we all have expected Minnesota to be a little bit better than what they've been thus far this season, especially being outside of the top half of the rankings for the conference. So Yeah, I think that it's probably just a mix of both. Maybe missing Cat, but really more so the team finding their identity and integrating Julius Randle into all of it. We've seen some previous situations in the season, with some disconnects also, for instance, between Gobert not necessarily being on the same page with Randle, throwing temper tantrums on the court, and then overall, just Ant being vocal about some things that are going on with the team. So. Maybe it's just growing pains. We'll see how it shakes out. But it's the first season with this new look of a team. I think we're gonna need a little bit of time to see how it all shakes out and how they gel. Here we go.
I like it. I like it. What I see with this team, go ahead, all right?
Nah, go ahead. I'll say that's quality production right there, man. Go ahead, Ev.
Absolutely. What I see with this team, listen, we got the best producer in the game, okay? That's facts. That's
Is
facts.
he wearing a chain? Wearing a chain? It's Pod
So
Mamba knowing do it better. Sorry.
you get it. So with Minnesota, what I see is a team that was already a complicated fit even last year, becoming even more complicated by adding more complicated players, if that makes sense. So,
Is this you admitting that Julius Randle's a complicated player?
well, he's a complex fit. And so what I mean by that, now don't get me wrong, Julius is having an efficient season from a true shooting percentage standpoint. His rebounds are down from over 9 a game to about 7, and his assists are down. But he's shooting the ball well. He's down on threes, but he's taking less of them. But he is complicated from the standpoint of where he had gotten to last year was make a decision quickly and either shoot it or get rid of the ball. That comes with time and understanding the offense better, and he's not quite there yet with Minnesota. And we talk about him often, as great of a talent as he is. He's not one to pass up complicated shots, right? He makes a lot of them, but that's his diet. Rudy, we know he has to literally be spoon fed the ball at the hoop, for him to be effective offensively. So you put those together, you have a point guard who is a shell of himself, and Mike Conley hasn't looked as well as he's looked in previous years. Understandably, he's getting up there. And then, Dante, he wasn't going to shoot 40% from three forever. He's down to 32% right now. So you put all that together and you have a team that's lower in offensive rating than they were the previous year. Also lower in defensive rating than they were the previous year as well. So when you have that mix, is gonna cause some struggles. Nas Reed's having a good year, but his role isn't quite as defined as it was previous years because Julius can play the center role, but it's not as clear cut as it was when he shared the court with Cat and when he shared the court with Gobert. So he has to find his footing. Those lineups have to find their footing. So what you see right now is just a team with some complicated pieces to make gel, and you're seeing the growing pains that comes with that. For what we not Cat for, he definitely did a great job of fitting seamlessly within those complicated pieces last year, making the adjustments that they asked him to do, and we're seeing him do that on the flip side in Manhattan right now on 34th Street.
Look at you, man. You're real happy to say that, huh?
I mean, listen, man.
Look,
Second best center in the league. How's your go?
Whoa, I said fifth best center in the league. Fifth.
I like how you guys just try to casually slide that in there and then pass it off.
Fifth.
So I hit you with the magic.
So listen, I thought about something when I was trying to conceptualize what Ev was saying about adding a complicated player to a system. And I thought about other teams who were in similar situations or have experienced something similar. And I got excited for some reason. And maybe I'm fantasizing and building this narrative in my head or anything like that.
Do it.
But let's make this comparison real quick, yo. Who's more of a dog? Ja Morant, who has come back and the Grizzlies are surging, or Anthony Edwards? Because one can argue, and maybe it's just me arguing with my Drewski pose right here, that Anthony Edwards has gotten some of this shine because of the absence of Sir Ja Morant.
I would have showed up early had I knew you wanted to have this conversation today.
So listen, I'm throwing a wrench out here, man. Sometimes you
Alrighty.
just gotta go. We're a sports show, yo. But yo, son, let's be real. I feel like this conversation needs to be had. They've yet to go head to head. I was looking at the schedule. They've yet to go head to head. They both got that dog in them. They're both dynamic. They both don't care. They'll step to you. Like Josh said, I don't like them. Like, yo, for me, this is a little telling. Like, yo, does Ant not have as much of a dog as Ja? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those, you can't help but make those comparisons. At the end of the day, I feel like Ant should have propelled his team further, regardless of the complexities of said Julius Randle. And then you see somebody like Ja who just came in. And unfortunately, it was when they were playing Portland when he came back from his injury and blew my team out. Whatever. Okay, we get it. And the Grizzlies are balling. So you mean to tell me if you were to have everybody close their eyes and say who's the better team, the Minnesota Timberwolves who went to a conference final or the Memphis Grizzlies? They're worlds apart right now. I'm just saying, man.
Look.
Maybe
all
I'm
I know
tripping,
is,
man.
Go ahead, Lou.
what I'm about to say, because I know Ed's gonna dive deep into the bag. But one of the major differences, and I think and why I wouldn't jump off that ledge yet, though, I probably would side more of the fact that Ja does, but Ja has been given the keys, right, to the kingdom long before Ant was. Ant has shown that, he potentially could do, be in the driver's seat. But this is the first time we're really starting to see it, right? This is his first opportunity. Jaska, he's been giving it from rip, bro.
Lou, I love you. You're one of the most competitive people I've ever been on the court, field, or anything with. You know as well as I know, you don't get you take the keys. Keys ain't given to you. Michael Jordan, he was given the keys. He took the keys. You get what I'm saying? The keys are not given to you. You take the keys. All right, don't have me cuss on the show. You take the keys,
I say
man.
like this, bro. I wanted, when the Bulls had the seventh pick, we never got a chance to get Ja. There's a reason why he was out ASAP, right? As what, number 2 or number 3?
Number 2.
Number 2, right after Zion, and look how that panned out. So I've been on the Ja train. You know what I mean? So for me, yeah, Ja Jets definitely, they both have a dog, but Ja's dog is a little bit bigger.
Can you say Memphis is better than the Timberwolves?
Well,
Don't look at their records.
I see, but
Memphis is better than the Timberwolves.
But that's two different questions you're asking, though, right? It's two different
I'm just
questions
saying,
you're asking.
man.
Who got the bigger dog versus what's the better team? There's two different questions.
So Memphis, yeah. So, all right, let me compose myself for a second.
Compose yourself, man. Let it out, man. We're talking basketball, man. Get excited.
Ja was the one before Ant got all these commercials that you're seeing now.
Should be for Ja.
Had them all lined up for Ja. Okay,
Ja just, you know what I mean, like to pew too much.
Yeah, Ja's earning them back right now, but Ja showed y'all who he was night 2 in the league, right? Or week 1 in the league when he went on the toe. Ja's been that guy since he's been that guy. All right, I had Hans don't even watch college basketball. Or I had him in the nachos with me, watching watching Ja Morant in the NCAA tournament. Like this guy done
Cook,
won.
cook.
But hey, listen, call 12. When you hear that, call 12, okay?
Call
When you hear
12, baby.
that,
Call
call
12.
12.
Oh,
All right. Now, every time I get too excited about them, I jinx them. So I'm trying to bring myself down. But I think they both had that dog. I think Ja's game more compliments the players around him. Ja is an extremely unselfish player, right? The dunks get the highlights, the flashy passes get the highlights, but the entirety of his game is about creating opportunities for his teammates by the movement that he makes.
yeah.
You combine that with an unbelievable coaching and developmental staff. Right. We talk about the players that the Miami Heat were finding from a year-to-year standpoint. Go look at who the Memphis Grizzlies find every year to give them quality minutes. Shout out to Scottie Pippen Jr., right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not going to get messy with that. Shout out to Scottie Pippen Jr., all right? They've got their two best uncovered gems from last year haven't even hit the court yet. Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams Jr., right? So I won't go down the whole list, but Memphis is just a quality developed and coached team, and it complements Ja better than Minnesota's roster complements Ant, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it was
And
a
that's
constructive call love, but it was a constructive fit, and I think that's in part like the difference in like I was saying, Ja was brought in like this is going to be our centerpiece. Ant was brought in as, hey, we think this guy would be a great piece for what we've already started to try to build here, until his emergence is saying, hey, look, this is our future. So yeah, I mean, Ja's game is, I don't think it just complements the team he has. I think Ja's skill set would complement basically any team that he's on just because of the nature of his play. Ja for me is Ant's athleticism with Shea Gilly's decision making on the floor. Call 12. I know, right? But yeah, no, just to your point, Evan, about what he can do on the floor, both from a point guard perspective, but also as a highlight, human highlight on the court. But who got that bigger dog?
Listen, man. At the end of the day, like I said, we overcomplicate the game. Put the ball in the hoop. If you're that dude,
You
you're gonna
say
put the ball
Ja
in
is
the
that
hoop.
guy.
You're gonna put the ball in the hoop, no matter who's in front of you, what the odds are stacked up against you. You gonna make it happen. And I just find it interesting if you were to poll the lay NBA fan, right, and say which team is better, Memphis Grizzlies or the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think many would choose the Memphis Grizzlies. But I am excited. I'm excited to see this because I think this is, I'm going to be real. If I'm Ja, I'm coming at Ant with every single thing I have on January 11th, which is the first matchup. On the court, everything I have on the court, not outside the court. Let's make that clear.
No Gilbert Arenas.
But just know this. You're absolutely right. Ja's looking at Ant like, look, you getting everything that was supposed to be mine right now.
Yeah, let's go for it.
By the end of this season,
go ahead.
he's gonna make the Power Mamba come with bigger guns than he's coming with right now. When you shout out Ja, I'm gonna need you to come with bigger sound effects by the end of the season.
Or you're gonna have to do, what was that sound bite on the albums? Cannon.
All right, guys. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw a wrench, man, but I'm just like, wow,
that's a good one. That's a good thought, man. I like
this
that.
comparison.
Looking forward to that matchup. Most definitely.
Yeah, man. Like I said, the first one, it's a League Pass game, January 11th. So that'll be the first time they kind of lock horns, and then the next one will be on TNT though. So We'll be able to see it. All right, y'all.
Jazz in that area in 2 weeks, huh? Let's figure something out.
Figure something out.
Figure something out. That's all I'm
Let's make
saying.
something happen, man. Let's make something happen. All right, y'all. So, last segment of the night, day, depending when you're listening, the NBA Cup. As we're currently recording, the Cup will be played again. And after Tuesday's games, we should have clear definition of who's in, who's out, wild cards, and such. So, I will start off with this. There are some teams that I did not expect in this cup to have some great standing. And I'm looking at you, Orlando. I'm actually looking at you, Atlanta. Wild. Because I definitely thought they were mailing everything in this year and Trey was going to the Los Angeles Lakers. But
Definitely thought that.
yeah, I definitely thought.
Hey, what's up with you, man? Yo, you don't want. You don't want.
I'm giving you quality pieces here, Pod Mamba.
I know, right?
Quality trade pieces here. He's just throwing them to the wind. But I'll start off. I'll start off with you, Ev. What are your predictions as far as who is going to be on top? Because I know your division is locked. The one that you're looking at with the Orlando Magic 3-0 and the Knicks being 3-0. Who's winning out that group East A?
Well, before I go over there, I just wanna, for you, sir, congratulations to you that your team still is
Listen, man,
alive in
we're
this.
here.
You didn't want to mention your Blazers, man. You know, not eliminated yet, man. Shout your
Nah,
boys
man.
out. Shout your boys out.
Haters.
But
Haters.
as
Yeah,
far as
get out your heart, yo.
predicting the Magic, you know, I'm gonna see how well my powers work, whether they work for good or for bad. Because when you all listen to this, when we drop this episode Wednesday morning, okay, the New York Knicks, who play the Orlando Magic on Tuesday night, will have won their group for the NBA Cup. And the Orlando Magic, because their overall point differential is so high, currently sitting at plus 60.
Yeah.
Coming
Wild.
Coming off a tight loss to the New York Knicks, they will clinch the wild card spot on that side for the NBA Cup. So I'm giving you Knicks and Magic. It was a good run for the other teams, for Boston and the loser of the Milwaukee and Detroit game, but they'll be going home. Well, not going home, but not going to the knockout round.
Wow.
Knicks and Magic in the East. That's my call.
Got you. Okay. Lou, here's what I'm gonna throw to you. Now, I know how you have a little flame in your heart for Houston because Sangoon, he's balling and he's doing this thing.
Cooking.
And they are currently 3-0, just like the Knicks, just like Orlando, and just like the Bucks and Detroit, right? And the Warriors as well. Do you see them? How much faith do you have in Houston and how they're balling? And honestly, they're seated at the top of the conference as well, too. So how much confidence do you have them coming out this cup?
One of the things we talked about earlier is what types of teams do we really see going for and really potentially winning this cup. Teams that are veteran heavy and probably not necessarily thinking about actually being able to make the long haul of winning a championship, and then also the young gunners, who are teams that they have the early energy in the season, but they may not necessarily have the experience to make a deep run in the playoffs. So I think Houston has a great chance. We see them in the second, number 2 seeded in the West right now. Again, a great young team, great young talent. We talk about teams that have started to develop an identity on both sides of the floor, and Houston has been able to show that this season under the coach of Ime. Shout out to him, and his tete-a-tete with LeBron. So we're starting to see that, look, this team is showing that they can be formidable and having all their guys healthy on the court. especially a guy like Sengun, who it was sad to see him go down with injury last year. Be the guy that we thought he could be, and he's also continued to the budding to be one of the top big men in the league. So yeah, I think Houston has an opportunity to make a deep run and even potentially go out and be able to snag this. Potentially be one of the cup winners out of these teams. So excited to see them play, most definitely.
Houston is a fascinating team. They really are. They just find a way and they keep going to have that dog, and something always happens though. And it's like I'm waiting to see what happens.
So you waiting for the other shoe to drop, huh?
Yeah, that's how I feel with them. And I don't want it to. It's like I don't
Yeah.
want the other shoe because I want them to thrive.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like they're showing a little bit of what we saw with Boston when Ime was there, right? They were a young team that was really starting to like I said, gel and show an identity. So I got to give a big up to their coaching and how he's been able to capitalize and use his players. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And if anybody gets hurt, even though I wish nobody was, as long it's anybody but Sengun, and if it has to be somebody, if it's Jabari, I'm not upset. I don't wish that on him. I'm just saying, if Jabari happens to be the one to go down, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, just slight ankle roll, nothing serious.
Here we go.
So for me, I'm gonna take this take. Atlanta. Here's why I say Atlanta. Watch out for Atlanta. They're
Giant
gonna be
Slayers.
translate.
That's a Giant Slayers.
Giants.
Yes.
All they beat top teams.
They beat Boston. They beat Cleveland. They're just out here twice. They're out here just messing stuff up because they don't care. You know what? Do you know what Atlanta is? Atlanta's that bad kid you see in the store that's just walking from aisle to aisle and just knocking stuff off the shelf, and you're looking around and you're like, get your kid. Like, whose parent? Like, whose kid is this? Get your bad kid in order. Like,
just casually, on the what's it called, the aisle with all the cereals, just knocking mad boxes,
just knocking them down. That's what Atlanta is right now. They're just the bad little kids who just out here just messing everybody's parlays up, messing everything up, and they don't care because they don't have a dog in this fight. And those are the teams you need to look out for. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's looking for them to win out their conference, to win a chip. Nobody's really looking for them to make the playoffs or do anything. Yeah. Why not get in this cup and mess things up and make it dirty? Why not?
Play with no pressure, right? Play with no pressure.
Think about it. Look at all the other teams. Orlando Magic, they have the young guns storyline, right? That the Indiana Pacers had. Same thing with Detroit. Young guns. Milwaukee, hey, we're still here. We struggled, but we got it together. So we need to win this. Golden State, hey, don't forget about us. We have championship pedigree. We can win this too. You get what I'm saying? The Knicks, hey, we're the best in the East. Y'all better look out for us. Everybody has that chip, right? San Antonio, young guns, right? Everybody has that chip. Atlanta, what's Atlanta's story? We just want to mess things up. That's it.
we got Magic City.
Listen,
lemon pepper
sometimes, to quote the Dark Knight, sometimes some people just want to see it burn. Okay? And that is Atlanta. They just want to look and see it burn. Okay?
Tired of being disrespected.
What's the ice tray out here?
Listen, they were his baby hairs. That's all.
Oh my goodness, man.
That's all they want to do, man.
That's a good analogy.
You know what? That is a great one, man. That's a great one, especially the bad kid knocking stuff over, bro. That's
I'm telling you,
they really have nothing to lose. I'm saying it's like for instance, like as well as Houston is doing now, I don't think anybody's like, oh, okay, Houston's going to be this throughout the rest of the season. So they're kind of like, okay, this is cute. So I don't feel like Houston is far off from Atlanta, but definitely Atlanta they're playing.
But Atlanta has the swagger of
pressure.
Like,
no pressure. Yeah,
we care not. Because at least with Houston, you could argue they're building for a future. Some feel like Atlanta's not more so building, but holding on to something that's not working.
Yeah.
I feel like Atlanta's just like, hey man, we're here to mess things up and go back
You know,
home.
they know it's gonna get all blown up, so they're like, why not just go out with a bang?
Well, it might not get blown up, but I think that nobody's talking about Atlanta, right? Everybody's talking about Houston. That Houston's everyone's favorite come up story, right? In Golden State, like all the teams in Hans named, exactly. There's that great storyline to them. Atlanta, nobody pays attention to, and they casually go in and, like you said, knock out Cleveland 2 nights in a row. Uh, have just good stories within the roster. I mean, Risha Shea looks good as a rookie. Jalen Johnson's been excellent. Dyson Daniels, my all defense type, season he's having so far. And Trey Young, like you said, that Joker analogy is perfect. Trey Young just likes being the bad guy for no reason. So
He
it's
does.
interesting to see what they do. And as a Knicks fan, I have unfortunate experience with Trey messing up some stuff for us. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. I got a question for y'all in this Milwaukee Detroit game. I mean, whoever talks about the Pistons, right? If there's two teams Milwaukee is just bullied on the entirety of Giannis's run, it's no offense, Lou, Chicago and Detroit, right? You got a Milwaukee team that is getting their stride back together a little bit, albeit somewhat on a weak schedule since a disastrous start. A Detroit team coming out of nowhere. What would this mean for them to kick Milwaukee's foot off the ladder just a little bit while they climbing up and knock them out of this tournament? Where everybody's expecting Milwaukee. Yeah, they got their stride. They're gonna go in there and handle business Tuesday night. What would that mean for an up and coming Detroit squad?
Well, I think part of it with Detroit, there there have been higher expectations of Detroit in past seasons that they have achieved. So I think this coming out of nowhere is kind of more so people may have already kind of counted Detroit out based
Giving
on
up on them.
their last 2 seasons. So this is a nice to see, um, right? Like, oh, okay, Detroit is they're on their way up, but yeah, I mean, if they were to knock off Milwaukee, I think it would be a pretty decisive win, shocking win, and also something that would say, okay, maybe the maybe it just took a little bit longer for that process to kind of come together. Maybe they can get back on track, but realistically, if anything, it's one of those you catching lightning in a bottle. Because I think the likelihood of them doing it is slim, but if they do it, man, I don't think anybody's necessarily going to be like, it's that much of a surprise. It's something that it's within striking distance. Milwaukee still hasn't been the Milwaukee team we expected, and now we're starting to see Detroit to show some flashes of what it is we have expected them to be. So I don't think it'll be too much of a surprise.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it matters that much. Here's what I'll say: they're too far apart in the standings. Milwaukee's 5, Detroit's 10. Yeah, they're doing a lot better, but they're too far in the standings for it to matter. Just because Milwaukee's start has been so bad that even if they lose this, they'll still attribute it to that, and
Yep.
not necessarily Detroit
Detroit's greatness.
being that good. Now, I will say this: what you should have done was compared it to the Orlando and Knicks, because
I just
I
about to
feel
tell
like
that.
they're closer in the standings, and that would be a little more significant. As Orlando's looking pretty solid, and like they're going to be a playoff team and not necessarily a play-in. I think that would be more telling. The Bucks, they have an excuse. Detroit, they're playing with house money, so who cares?
Well, I guess it comes down to okay, last night of NBA Cup qualifying, how serious do teams take it, right? What does it mean to the team? So that's where I'm getting at with it.
Oh, I think we'll see
Does-
competitive basketball. I think we're gonna see competitive basketball. I just don't think it may bring back that level of tonnage in that matchup per se. But that's just how I see it. All right, guys. That's the buzzer. That's all we got for you today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We appreciate you making us the #1 basketball podcast in the world. Thank you for supporting us. Hit us up on our socials. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Talk about it.
What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to the 3on3 podcast. Please be sure to give the episode a thumbs up if you loved it. Hit that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that bell so that way you're notified every time we drop a new episode. Hit us up on our social media, guys. You can find us at the 3on3 podcast on IG and Twitter. If you want to give us any ideas or suggestions, shoot us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.